All right, so if you're watching this video, that means that you use the box method, also known as the break apart method. So your learning target is I can multiply decimals using the break apart box method. Step one, you're going to set up your problem vertically. You do not need to line these decimals up when you're multiplying. That is a rule only if you are adding and subtracting the decimals. Vertically, and you do need to have your flow map in front of you so that you are following along as the video plays. You can pause it to ask questions, to review each step, to look at the work on the flow map versus what I have on the board. So our problem is 5.2 times 1.23, or 5/10 times 1 23/100. To set the problem up vertically, we're just going to write it going up and down. Now, I like to put the number with the most digits on top. However, you do not have to do it that way. You can very well write it with your 5.2 on top. We're setting this problem up vertically because this is where we do our work. This is where we can see the carrying of our units of 10. This is where we can see our rows and our placeholders. And this is why we set it up in the vertical way as opposed to doing it horizontally. Step two, we're going to circle the digits to the right of the decimal. So basically what you're doing is you have your problem, and yes, I'm rewriting it, but you will have it on your paper. So step two and step three kind of can go together. I separated them just so that you knew specifically you need to do both parts. So I'm going to locate the decimal. This is to the right. So I am circling in my top number all the digits behind the decimal. Then I go to my bottom number. I found the decimal. I'm going to the right. I'm circling any digits behind the decimal. Now, sometimes you may not have a decimal in both numbers. It may be in one of the numbers, but in either case, this step still applies. If you don't have it in one number, you don't circle any numbers. Step three, we're going to count the circles, the digits that we have circled. So basically, this is how it looked. We found our decimal, we went right, we circled. We found our decimal, we went right, we circled. We have 3 places circled. You need to write that on your paper because you will need that information at the end of the flow map once we complete all the steps, okay? So far, we only have 3 places that we need to move this decimal. We're going to rewrite the problem without the decimal. So when I say we're rewriting the problem without the decimals, that does not mean we're just throwing them away. What it actually means is we're going back to what we learned about powers of 10 and place value. So we're going to look at 1.23, and we're going to talk about the place value. This is the tenths, and this is the hundredths. So remember, if we are trying to make this a whole number, then we need to multiply this by 100. Because 100, when we multiply any number by powers of 10, it's making that decimal move to the right, but it is also making the number larger. It's becoming a bigger number. So if we're multiplying, I'm going to count my zeros, and then I'm going to write my non-zero numbers, the decimals there. So the place value was the 100 spot. We did 1.23, or 1 23/100 times 100. So we got 123. We do not have to write these zeros. All we needed to do was to multiply. So this is the math that is happening when we count these spaces behind the decimals. Remember how I told you count the spaces and move it that many places to the right, and then I showed you the math behind it. So here, since this is 5.2, if we were to multiply it, being that it is in the tenths spot, it would now become 52. So now you see that you have the numbers without the decimals. You know how to create your box and to multiply these numbers without the decimal. So all we're doing is you're moving the decimal until it becomes a whole number. Not a part of a number, a whole number. And then here's your step. We're going to make our box and we're going to multiply. Let's look at our numbers so that we can break them apart, because that's what the break apart method means. It means that we are writing the values of those digits. So right here, this is in the hundreds place. So this would be 100. This one is in the tens place, so the value would be 20. The 3 is in the ones place, so the value is 3. That's our top row. Over here, the value of the 5, well, it's in the tens place, the value would be 50. And this one is in the ones place, so the value would be 2. Gonna build our box. We know that we need a 3 by 2, and the reason we know we need that, that's a horrible box, but we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna erase this little line right here. All right. We need a 3 by 2 because we know we have 3 digits in one number, and we know we have 2 in the second one. So in the multiplier, we've broken that number apart. And in your multican we have. So we know the rules. We multiply each column by the numbers on the side. So we're going to set them up and multiply. Count your zeros. 1, 2, 3. Multiply the non-zero numbers. 5 times 1 is 5. Next one. 20 times 50. Remember, 50 is going all the way across by the numbers up top. It is being multiplied. Count your zeros. And then 5 times 2 is 10. Please don't forget that. Some of you guys are still forgetting and you write 100 instead of 1,000. It is 1,000. 50 times 3. It makes it much easier for you guys to multiply. 0, and then 5 times 3 is 15. We're on the second row. 50, we're done with. So we don't need to do anything else with the number 50. Now, we're on the 2 row. So 100 times 2, 0, 0, 2. 20 times 2, 0, 4. And 3 times 2 is 6. Last step is always to add up your numbers. The biggest thing is make sure that you are lining up your numbers based on place value. This number is 5,000. So I would go through my box and I would look at any other numbers that are in the thousands, like this one. And I would write them so that they are lined up. And then I would look for the next highest number, which is 200. So I'm going to start here. I'm lining up my place value. Your 2 should not be in the column with 5 and 1. 150, 0, 5, 1. Lining them up still. And then we have 40, 0. If you start from the right and work left, you get your numbers lined up in the correct place value column. So right here's the ones place. We have all zeros plus 6, so that gives us 6. In the tens place, we have 5 plus 4, which gives us 9. In the hundreds place, we have 2 plus 1, which gives us 3. And then in the thousands place, we have 5 plus 1, which gives us 6. All right? So we've done the multiplication part. We got 6, 3, 9, 6. We go to the next step. It says place a decimal at the end of the product. The product is your, well, we call it your answer right now, but technically it's not your answer because we haven't moved the decimals, but we're getting there. So I'm going to rewrite our number. I'm going to do what it says. I'm going to put the decimal at the end. The end is after the last digit to the right. And then it says move the decimal the number of counted places. Remember we counted sorry. Remember we counted, let me see if I can move that over. We counted, and we counted 3 places. That was step 3. So you go back to step 3 and look what you wrote. Step 3. And we are moving to the left. Arrow to the left. So here we go. When you count a number, each digit, should be in a loop. So here we go. There's one place. There's the second place. There is the third place. This is the new home of your decimal. This one no longer exists. So your answer, your product, is 6.396. That is 6 396 thousandths. You may rewatch this video if you have further questions. If not, there are practice problems waiting for you.